My name is Steve Nakajo. I'm the Executive Director of the Japantown Task Force. Also, I administrate as the Executive Director of the Japantown Cultural District in San Francisco. Watashi no namae wa Steve Nakajo, Executive Director, Nihonmachi no Task Force. And my prideful moment pretty much takes a reflection of the 47 years of community work that I've done in various capacities in Japantown, San Francisco. But pretty much my beginning formalization in terms of giving back to my community, the Japanese American community, was the formalization with my dear friend Sandy Mori. And we founded the co-founders of Kimochi Senior Center, Kimochi in San Francisco, and Japanese means good feelings. So 47 years over, 1971, I was 24 years old, and in the height of what I call the Asian American movement, particularly the Japanese American movement, we felt that in terms of culture, history, identity, that we needed to give back to the ones, the seniors, the Issei first generation, the Niseis, the second generation, that paid the dues, blood, sweat, and tears, particularly for us as the anti-Japanese Asian legislation in terms of the current back in the early 1800s to the point of the formalization of Executive Order 9066, which was the removal of 110,000 Japanese Americans, Japanese from the West Coast during 1942 to 1946 into 10 different concentration camps throughout this United States. My feeling was particularly as the Japanese came back, tried to rebuild our community after 1947 to around the early 50s, when San Francisco started to implement eminent domain and the redevelopment agency came into our neighborhood. Back in the day, we used to call it the Fillmore West Addition, Japantown, and totally destroyed every building within our neighborhood. That shrank our community before the war from 44 blocks to when I grew up in the late 50s and 60s, to my memory, about 20 blocks to now we claim 4 blocks. In terms of our community endeavor, Asian American Pacific Islanders, one of the agencies that I've worked with over my 45 years is the establishment of Richmond Maxi Center, RAMS, that again provided services to our community, because for myself, when we often needed mental health services or guidance or counseling, we didn't have too many places to go to. So when RAM was formalized for us, it was a place where we could refer our people. And basically back in the day when RAM started, there was the innovation of being bilingual as well, so our people could feel comfortable into sharing our feelings, which we Japanese Americans don't usually do. We have this cultural trait called gaman, and gaman usually means to withhold and endure.
So first of all, I just want to say this is Shaman Walton, the president of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors representing District 10, and I'm here to stand in solidarity with the Asian Pacific Islander community. I do want to say happy Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month and let everyone know that as people of color, we are 100% better together. I think back to all the fights that we've had here in San Francisco for equity and social justice. I think back to the time when I worked both with the Asian community as well as the Pacific Islander community to put in place a resolution at the Board of Education to make sure that we prioritize our API students. And that is just one of the many things that we've done together. It is now more imperative because if we look at what has happened over this past year with the injustices that have existed across the country, being in solidarity as people of color is the most important and vital thing we can do for the future of our families, for the future of our communities, and definitely for the future of our children. So I just want to say again, happy API Heritage Month. I, Shaman Walton, stand in solidarity with all of you. We are better together. Here in San Francisco, we are able to benefit from 7 different cultures within the Asian and Pacific Islander community. So you talked a little bit about Chinese community, Korean community, Vietnamese community, Samoan. We have a small Tongan population here in San Francisco. And really, to be honest with you, I've just had the benefit of growing up around folks in these communities. So I've share at the dinner table, lunch table, breakfast table with pretty much every culture here in San Francisco and every culture in the API community. And as a representative of a district that is very cultural, I continue to have that opportunity. So there's no necessarily not one just specific event or place or family that I visited, because within my work, within my community, I spend time with several different cultures on a daily basis, quite frankly. And I just love being in this role. I want to say happy Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and really want everyone to know that as we address all the injustices that are happening across all of our cultures, it's important for us to fight in unity and understand that the systemic racism that exists in the systems that are put in place to keep us against each other, the only way we overcome those is by working together. And we do that by getting to know each other, spending time with each other, and learning to advocate and fight together. And again, I just want to say happy API Heritage Month, and we are here to work cross culture.